The 2026 Brisbane International Final was supposed to be a standard tune-up for the Australian Open, but the 6-4, 6-3 victory for Aryna Sabalenka over Marta Kostyuk revealed a tactical and personal rift that the official broadcast refused to acknowledge. If you looked closely at the Hawkeye data from the very first game at Pat Rafter Arena, you could see the exact moment the polite veneer of the WTA Tour shattered. Kostyuk came out with a level of aggression that bordered on reckless, specifically targeting Sabalenka's second serve with return speeds averaging over 130 kilometers per hour. By the 10-second mark of the opening point, the world number one was not just facing a tennis player, she was facing a player whose body language screamed total defiance. The official tour highlights won't show you the audio from the umpire's chair or the way the players avoided eye contact during the coin toss, but we've tracked the full transcript and the movement data. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications to join our courtside investigation before this footage is claimed, because what happened in the shadows of the Mercedes-Benz era of the WTA is far more calculated than a simple bad loss. This was not just a match, it was a psychological operation. According to the WTA Rulebook Section 4, the conduct of players during trophy ceremonies and handshakes is meant to uphold the integrity of the game. Yet the 2026 Brisbane Final saw those rules pushed to the absolute limit. When Sabalenka sealed the match with a final punishing ground stroke, she did not just celebrate. She stood at the net, looked directly into the eyes of a retreating Marta Kostyuk, and kissed both of her biceps. To the casual viewer, it looked like a display of strength. To those who have followed the receipts from the 2025 season, it was a lethal callback. Last year, an interview surfaced where Kostyuk allegedly made comments about the physical advantages of certain players from specific regions, a remark she later claimed was taken out of context. By kissing her muscles in the moment of victory, Sabalenka was not just winning a trophy, she was weaponizing her physicality to humiliate an opponent who has consistently refused to acknowledge her existence at the net. This moment was the culmination of 3 years of cold wars and press conference barbs that have finally boiled over into a full-scale on-court confrontation. The data from Hawkvision during the first set reveals a fascinating tactical shift that explains the deep-seated tension. Kostyuk, world number 20 and rising, utilized a record number of drop shots in the first 6 games. On paper, it looks like a smart play against a power hitter like Sabalenka. In reality, it was an attempt to freeze the momentum of the world number one. In the 2026 tactical landscape, the drop shot is often used as a mental weapon, a way to tell the opponent that their power is irrelevant and that they are being toyed with. However, Sabalenka's response was a masterclass in modern defense. She has evolved from a one-dimensional power hitter into a tactical giant. Her average sprint speed to the net has increased by 12% since her 2025 loss to Madison Keys in Melbourne, and she used that speed to turn Kostyuk's momentum freezes into easy winners. Each time she reached the ball, she did not just hit a winner, she chose the most physically imposing shot possible, often hitting the ball directly at Kostyuk to force a defensive reflex. This is what we call tactical intimidation, and it is a hallmark of the new Sabalenka era. To understand the weight of this victory, we have to look at the ranking math, which is where the real devastation lies. By defending her title in Brisbane, Sabalenka has solidified her position at the top of the tree with over 10,000 ranking points. This creates a massive buffer between her and the world number 2, Iga Swiatek. For Kostyuk, the loss is more than just a missed trophy. While she moves up to world number 16, the 500 points she failed to capture here effectively ruins her seeding path for the upcoming clay season. In the 2026 point structure, losing in a final of a 500-level event provides a decent boost, but it does not provide the safety net required to avoid the top 4 seeds in the early rounds of the slams. Had she won, she would have been on track to crack the top 10 by Roland Garros. Now she remains in the danger zone, where she is likely to face Sabalenka or Swiatek in the round of 16. This is why the frustration was so visible on her face during the second set. Every unforced error was not just a point lost, it was a step backward in a year-long campaign for relevance and respect. The head-to-head history between these two is now a brutal 5-0 in favor of the Belarusian. In those 5 matches, Kostyuk failed to win a single set. This is a dominance that goes beyond skill. It is a mental block that Sabalenka has cultivated by being proper but ruthless on every big point. Think back to their meeting in 2024, where the scoreline was similarly lopsided. Sabalenka has figured out exactly how to trigger Kostyuk's emotional volatility. By playing with a high margin for error on the big points and then unleashing her full power on the points that do not technically matter as much, she keeps Kostyuk in a constant state of second-guessing. This is the new age of data-driven tennis, where players know exactly which psychological buttons to press to cause a total system collapse in their rivals. We have to talk about the players' box because the coaching dynamics in 2026 are more influential than ever. Throughout the second set, the camera briefly panned to Sabalenka's team, including her boyfriend, Gogios Frangelis, and her head coach. While the broadcast commentary focused on their supportive nature, our analysis of the body language tells a different story. The smoking gun was the constant signaling between Sabalenka's coach and her physical trainer. Every time Kostyuk attempted to slow the game down with a long towel break or a lingering glance at the umpire, Sabalenka's box would mirror that intensity, keeping their player locked in. They were essentially countering Kostyuk's stalling tactics with a wall of focused energy. This is a secondary character in the drama. The coach's box is no longer just for encouragement. It is a tactical command center that monitors heart rate data and shot depth real-time via the new Mercedes-Benz courtside tech suite. They knew Kostyuk was fatiguing before she did, and they instructed Sabalenka to increase the rally length, specifically to exploit that drop in oxygen efficiency. When we look back at their 2023 encounter at the French Open, the bad blood was already bubbling, but it was framed as a political issue. Fast forward to 2026, and the tension has shifted into something far more personal. In the Brisbane Trophy ceremony, the atmospheric pressure was palpable. Kostyuk stood as far away from Sabalenka as the podium allowed. When she spoke, her voice cracked as she discussed the -20-degree temperatures in Ukraine and the lack of basic utilities for her people. It was a powerful, emotional speech that intentionally omitted any mention of her opponent. In the world of the WTA, not saying a name is a louder statement than any insult. Sabalenka's response was equally calculated. She congratulated Marta and her team, a move that frames her as the bigger person, while she simultaneously knows she has just psychologically dismantled her rival on court. It's a performance of grace that hides a heart of iron. The use of medical timeouts and bathroom breaks has become a major talking point in 2026. While no official timeout was called in this final, the way Kostyuk used the changeovers to stare at the ground and the way Sabalenka used them to shadow swing toward her opponent's side of the court are the modern equivalents of a mental freeze. They are playing a game of chess where the pieces are made of nerves and muscle. Sabalenka's touch game is her newest weapon. In her post-match interview, she admitted to working on her finesse during the offseason. This is a terrifying prospect for the rest of the tour. If the most powerful woman in tennis now has the best drop shot and the best net game, the rigged feeling that some fans describe is simply the reality of a talent gap that is widening. The tour is becoming a hierarchy of the hyper-fit, and Sabalenka is sitting at the very top. Let us dive deeper into the specific points that defined the second set. At 3 games all on Sabalenka's serve, Kostyuk had 2 break points. This was the moment where the match could have turned. The Hawkeye trace shows that Sabalenka hit a serve that was moving away from Kostyuk at an angle that seemed impossible. The ball clipped the very edge of the line. Kostyuk challenged, but the digital replay confirmed the ball was in by less than a millimeter. The look of pure disbelief on Kostyuk's face was the smoking gun. She knew in that moment that even when she played the perfect point, the technology and the power of Sabalenka would conspire against her. From that point on, she did not win another game. That 1 millimeter on a screen in Brisbane might just have decided the momentum for the entire first quarter of the 2026 season. The hot mic audio from the 8th game of the first set provides another layer of intrigue. There was a rare moment where a mishit from Kostyuk led to a brief smile from both players. The public narrative called it a moment of levity. Our investigation suggests it was a reset tactic from Sabalenka. By smiling, she disarmed Kostyuk's anger, making the Ukrainian feel like the intensity had dropped, only to immediately follow it up with a 190 km/h ace. That's the ruthlessness required to stay at world number 1. It's a predator's instinct disguised as sportsmanship. As we look toward the Australian Open, the fallout from Brisbane will be the primary storyline. Sabalenka is now the heavy favorite, aiming for her 3rd title in 4 years. Her path is clear because she has effectively broken the spirit of the players in the 10 to 20 ranking bracket. Kostyuk's refusal to shake hands is a protest of her reality, but on the scoreboard, it looks like a surrender to the inevitable. The receipts show that every time these two meet, the polite veneer gets thinner and the tactical warfare gets louder. Sabalenka is not just winning, she is sending a message to Swiatek and Gauff that she is the dominant force in this new era of high-stakes tennis. Consider the historical context of this rivalry. In the past, handshakes were a formality, but in the 2026 climate, they have become a referendum on identity in politics. By refusing to engage, Kostyuk is attempting to maintain her moral high ground, but Sabalenka's dominance on the court makes that high ground feel like a lonely island. The tension between the two is a microcosm of the tour itself, which is currently divided between those who want to focus strictly on the sport and those who believe the sport cannot be separated from the world outside. This division is what makes every Sabalenka versus Kostyuk match a viral sensation. It is more than tennis. It is a clash of worldviews played out with yellow balls and graphite rackets. The role of the umpire in this match also deserves scrutiny. Throughout the contest, the chair umpire was seen giving multiple soft warnings to both players regarding the pace of play. Under the new 2026 rules regarding player behavior, there is a fine line between a focused pause and a tactical delay. Sabalenka was pushing this limit to the extreme, taking the full 25 seconds between every single point in the final 2 games. This effectively drains the remaining adrenaline from Kostyuk's system, leaving her flat-footed when the ball was finally put in play. It was a legal but brutal manipulation of the clock. Finally, we must address the trophy ceremony in its entirety. When the Brisbane tournament director handed the trophy to Sabalenka, the crowd's reaction was mixed. There were cheers for the champion, but also a noticeable contingent of fans who were vocal in their support for Kostyuk. This split in the fan base is exactly what the WTA has been trying to manage in the Mercedes-Benz era. They want the drama, but they fear the division. However, for channels like Netcord News, this is the primary source of truth. The tension, the snubs, and the tactical freezing are what define the modern game. Sabalenka is the villain for some and the hero for others, but she is undeniably the queen of the 2026 tour. In conclusion, the 2026 Brisbane final was a masterpiece of hidden tension. From the bicep kiss to the omitted names in the victory speech, every second was a calculated move in a larger geopolitical and personal drama. Sabalenka is no longer just playing tennis. She is defending a throne with a level of psychological sophistication we have not seen since the peak of the Williams sisters. As we head into Melbourne, the question is not whether someone can out-hit Sabalenka, but whether anyone can survive the mental freeze she imposes on everyone who dares to challenge her. If you want to see how this drama unfolds in the next round of the season, check out our Tennis Playbook playlist for the deep dives on Gauff and Swiatek's recent coaching splits. The investigation is only beginning, and the receipts are still being tallied. This is the new WTA, and there are no easy handshakes left in the game.